Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your not so secret identity?
A very special guest. Oh, that's so sweet. It's Trevor Devall here. Hello.
I love how offbeat you are and how willing you are to just snap into like five different voices.
That may happen. It may happen once or twice through this whole interview. I just warn you.
Well, I love it. I love that you're still willing to play around.
It's my job, ma'am. It's my job.
Well, for the fans out there, because not everybody knows you, which is a shame. But I always like asking the very first time a guest comes onto the show, what initially sparked their interest in acting?
Well, I've been doing voices and accents since I was a little kid, and I never really thought it was a career choice. I just thought it was a way to try and impress girls, and I was wrong about that, as it turns out. But I was so wrong. Yeah, I didn't realize it was a job at all when I was young. So I just kept doing it because it was fun. It was something to do and to make people laugh. And then lo and behold, one day I auditioned for a show and I got the job, and the rest is history. That is a really, really quick encapsulation of the past 15 years.
Fair enough, but I have to ask, you really didn't get any dates that way?
Well, combination, because, here's the thing. To be perfectly candid, when I was in high school, there was the good-looking guys, the jocks that were good-looking, they had all the good-looking girls and all that thing, and I was not one of those guys. I was the funny guy. I was, the guy that could make everybody laugh. Now, weirdly, that made me, that propelled me to heights of popularity uncounted in previous incarnations of humanity. But it was that actually got me the date. So I think that, being funny with the voices and things certainly helped. But yeah, so it got me one or two dates, I suppose.
Hey, that's a good thing. At least it was, wasn't a total failure. Because I remember in theater class when all the guys were trying to do that, especially to the girls they liked. And I was like, there were no bites, really? I don't believe that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I got lucky once or twice. What can I say?
Well, for the fans out there, you were just announced in a role that everybody's really excited about. You were announced as Rocket Raccoon in Guardians of the Galaxy, the animated series.
That's right. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy premiere on September the 26th on Disney XD. I think it's September 26th. I hope I did that plug correctly. Yes, very excited about that. We've been recording that for about a year now. It was announced a few months back. It's got I have to tell you, they showed the first episode at Comic-Con to the people who were there, and it is really good. It's really, really good. I'm so proud of it because it feels just like the movie, man. It's like it picks up pretty much where the movie leaves off. It's got the music, it's got the writing, it's got the funny, it's got the action, it's got the whole bit. And I was like, it was funny because I was in session yesterday with Will Friedle, who plays Star-Lord, and we were doing some ADR, so we were watching some half animated stuff basically and putting in additional lines and things, and I turned to him and I said, oh my god, this is the best show on TV, and it's not even on TV yet. But I was so excited about it, so it's gonna be great.
That's fantastic to hear. I know a lot of people are super excited about it, and it seems like you have some familiarity with the source material as well.
Well, it's funny because I didn't until I got the job. I mean, when I did the audition for this show, I hadn't heard of Guardians of the Galaxy because it was before the movie came out, and it was just around the time that the trailers were starting to come out, but I didn't really pay attention to it because I didn't know what it was. I was never a huge comic book guy growing up, so I didn't know all of the stuff that Marvel had done back in the day. So Guardians of the Galaxy, I had no idea what that was. So when I did the audition, they just said, okay, we want you to read for a bunch of guys, but sort of the primary one was, of course, Rocket. And they said, he's a raccoon, he's angry, he's got a gun. It's like, okay. And that's literally what I had to go on. So, I just kind of did some sort of angry kind of thing. And they were like, yep, that's the guy. And there it was. But, yeah, super excited, because once the movie came out, I was like, oh, man, this is so cool. I'm part of this, sort of.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I have to wonder, doing a character with that amount of energy, is that draining for you in the booth, or are you energized by the time you leave the booth?
Yes, very much the latter. I'm very energized by the character. It's funny because one of the other guest star actors who came on to be on the show with us, after the session, he said to me, "How are you not exhausted?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a skill."
It's a copious amounts of coffee.
Yeah. That doesn't help. Or it doesn't hurt, rather. It doesn't hurt.
Well, I do always hear that caffeine dries out the throat, but at the same time, it seems like there are so many voice actors out there that are like, I'm a soda it anyway, or I'm gonna get my coffee anyway.
Yeah, that is true. It does dry out the throat. But, to tell you the truth, a lot of those things you hear about, like caring for the voice, that it's all true. Like you hear all these people saying, "Oh, well, you have to make sure that you rest your voice and that you do warm up and that you eat green apples and you don't drink coffee and blah, 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 and honey in your tea and all that." And that's all true. But honestly, most of the time that stuff applies for theater actors and singers more so than it does for us. And the reason is because we don't have to do the voice for long stretches of time. Right? It's not like I'm on stage and I have to talk like this for 2.5 hours every night. You know what I mean? So I get it kind of breaks in between, so I don't have to be la 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 every day. So all that stuff is true. It does apply, but nay, not as much for the voice actors who are doing the cartoons.
Well, then, out of sheer curiosity, because I know a lot of voice actors who are in video games and they're screaming all weekend or right before the weekend, they lose their voice. Or were there any instances where you lost yours?
Not in Guardians of the Galaxy, thankfully, but it's funny you mentioned that, video games, because video games are their own animal. They're their own beast for sure. In fact, when I get a call for an audition for a video game from my agent, it always says, vocally stressful? And then it'll say either yes or no. So we know, oh, this is going to be a yelling, "Get down! Grenade! Ah, I'm burning to death!" kind of thing. And then you have the option whether you want to read for that one or not. And I've certainly done my fair share of those kind of games, let me tell you. But yeah, if you do a lot of video games and it's a lot of like grunt number 3 kind of stuff, then yeah, you're in danger of losing your voice. So you have to be really careful. Thankfully, here in LA, most of the directors that I've worked with are very aware of that, and so they're constantly giving you breaks, making sure you've got everything you need, whether it's like honey, tea, or all that kind of stuff. So they're aware that you don't want to wreck the voice actor by by throwing a bunch of yelling. And the other thing is too is that when I do video games, they try and tend to book the yelly stuff on Friday rather than Monday, so that it's not going to interfere with the rest of the work week.
Now, what's interesting about that statement is you used to do a lot of work in Canada, and then you moved to LA, correct?
That's right.
Did Canada just not care?
Canada was very upset when I left. They were very upset. They were like, "Oh, geez, you're going to LA. Oh no, but you're doing so good up here, eh? You should really stick around." I said, "Well, I'll still work up there," and I do, and I still work up there now. In fact, I've been in LA for 2 years now. It's going very, very like gangbusters well, which is great. The community down here is fantastic, and they seem to have embraced me, which is tremendous. But when I first got down here, I was working in Vancouver. Like I had to fly back virtually every 2 weeks, so I was working way more up there still than I was down here. Now it's sort of turned around. I'm working far more down here than I am up there, but I'm still on shows up there. For example, there's a show we do up there called Dino Trucks, which has just been announced by DreamWorks. It's going to be on Netflix. I think it airs in August. So that's a show we do up there, even though I record it from down here most of the time.
Fantastic. Talking about travel between gigs and things like that, one thing I notice when I travel a lot is it seems like the air pressure always kind of messes with my voice. Do you ever have any weird kind of issues with your voice when you travel?
I used to, but now I'm in a plane so much that Alaska Airlines basically says, "Oh, Trev, how's it going? We got your regular seat." You know what I mean? I've gotten so used to the changes of pressure and things, it doesn't really bother me. But I'll tell you what does bother me is if I go to a hotel for a convention and it's somewhere like, Memphis, for example. I was in Memphis a couple weeks ago. Fantastic con. It was great. But the hotel, of course, because it's swelteringly hot outside, they've got the AC on all the time. And when you're sleeping with AC on all the time, it tends to really dry you out. So I would wake up every morning going, You know what I mean? So it was going to be a little taxing.
Yeah, you gotta have that hot shower and all that steam.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know how that is. There was a hotel I stayed in recently where even though the AC was on, the air was really stagnant. Like it wasn't going anywhere. And so
Yeah.
it just felt like, oh gosh, I need to get outside to breathe.
Yeah. And that's not something you want to do when you're in some place like Houston, where it's 120 degrees out and 300% humidity.
I mean, I can't say I know about the humidity, but I am based out of Las Vegas, and it's like 112 right now.
So imagine that, but wet, and that's basically Houston.
Yeah, I've been to Atlanta, Georgia, at least on a connecting flight for like 6 hours, and like just stepping outside for a little bit for the surrounding area, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back inside and never come back.
Yeah, for sure. The first time I was in the deep south, I remember I went from the airport directly into the van because it was for a convention, so they were taking us to the hotel. So we got to the hotel, and there was a walk of about 30 feet from the van to the doors of the hotel. And as soon as I stepped outside, it was like standing behind a jet engine. I just could, because it was not only hot and it was not only moist, but it was windy. So it was like having a jet engine blowing directly on you. I was like, oh my God, how does anybody live in this? And the answer is air conditioning. That's how they do it.
I was about to say, that sounds terrible, but for all the fans out there that are, now sweating bullets, I'm going to give you a little break so you can get some water and cool off. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and my special guest is still here, alive and breathing.
Yeah, so far, anyway.
Okay, that's good. Just in case. No, I always say this to everybody out there, but my IRC likes to think that I'm doing something to you guys during the break. So I just make sure to assure them that you're still alive, and I haven't done anything.
Yes. I haven't been tied up and gagged just yet.
Bleed yet, so. And now this really got creepy. Anyway.
Oh, I have that effect on all the people.
But for the fans out there, one thing I do want to talk about, because we do have a lot of video game players, is League of Legends, which is just this little game that maybe some people haven't heard of. But you actually play a character in League of Legends, and he's kind of a superhero figure.
That's right, Jace, Defender of Tomorrow. Yeah, he. It's funny because when I did that job, that's some time ago now. I did that job and I had no idea, of course, dummy that I am. I'm just so not in tune with what's going on in the world anywhere, especially in my own industry, which is ridiculous. But they said, we want you to play this guy. It's like, okay. So I did all the lines and then I just forgot about it. I heard, League of Legends, it's some like online thing, I don't know, whatever. And then like 2 or 3 years later, my friend, he's got this little guy, he's 12 years old or something, and I'm talking to him and he goes, oh man, I'm just so sick of hearing you yell at me all the time. And I said, what are you talking? He said, well, you're Jace in League of Legends. I went, oh yeah, I remember that. He goes, dude, you're like one of the most popular characters in the game all the time. Every time I'm here, you just shouting at me. Like, oh, sorry, I guess. But I had no idea that it was so huge. I had to have people tell me, it's sort of a big deal. Jace is sort of a big deal. I went, oh, okay, well, good for me, I guess.
What was really interesting is when Jace first came out for about 6 months of play, is he was probably the most used character in terms of competitive play. And I don't know if you know how big that monster is, but that's huge.
This is the thing where, it's like a spectator sport, right? Where people, they go to like these stadiums and watch people play the games. Is that right?
Yes.
Listen to me. I said, what? Yeah, is this where they go and they put the bets and the horses and the ponies run and you make money? I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, there was, what was it, the last World Tournament? I think it was something like 3.8 million people or something ridiculous tuned in.
Wow.
Wow. I might have fudged those numbers completely. I'm assuming I underestimated them, but somebody in my live chat's going to correct me. Yeah, but when Jace first came out, he was really powerful. I don't know if you know all of his attacks, but he could basically go up really close to somebody and whack them in the face with a hammer, but he could shoot them from really far away as well. And so by shooting people from far away, he could essentially like get rid of their health without being in danger and then go in for the kill. Sadly, after about 8 months, he kind of got a nerf and he hasn't been used as much in competitive play.
Why? Because the designers went, oh no, he's overpowered, he's too tough. So
yeah, pretty much. Back. Your character was too tough. They had to tone him back.
Hey, story of my life, sweetheart. Story of my life.
But no, League of Legends has so much popularity. Is that just a character that keeps coming up over and over again?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I mean, I've done a number of video games, but certainly that one, everybody knows it. And everybody's like, oh, wow, yeah, you were Jace in League of Legends. So I guess I better start playing this game or something to see what's going on. It's funny because the video games I play, I don't play a ton of them, but the ones I do, I tend to never play the ones I'm in. I tend to be like super hypercritical of my own performance. So when I hear it, all I can hear like, oh, the mistakes, you know what I mean? So I'm really critical, and it kind of takes me out of the experience. So I tend not to play the games that I'm in. There's only like a few things that I'm in that I actually want to watch. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of them, by the way. I mean, it's not a video game, but yeah, I should really start playing these games and seeing what's going on.
No, I mean, that's kind of fantastic, and the live chat did correct me. I have multiple people saying 28 million, I have a 32 million, and I have a 40 million. So nobody has given me a source, but since those numbers are much higher than what I said, I'm going to assume it's a lot of people. Yes. Yeah, there's a world tournament, and it's a big deal, and stadiums are sold out. And I believe it was back in 2013. League of Legends was one of the reasons that they made sports visas available for esports because it was so big.
Wow. See, I feel like I should be going to these things and hosting them. You know what I mean?
Some League of Legends voice actors do. You should get on that.
I guess I should. I gotta make a call. I don't know who, but I gotta make a call.
Awesome. Well, for the fans out there, obviously you talked about going to conventions and whatnot. Do you have any conventions lined up for the rest of the year or next year?
I do. I was at a My Little Pony Con in Houston in June, at the end of June, and then I was in Memphis for Anime Blues just a couple weeks ago, and my next one I think isn't until October, and that one is down in Melbourne, Australia, called it used to be called Armageddon, I think, but I think they changed the name of it. But that's kind of a big Comic-Con little thing they do down there. But so that's exciting. I haven't been down under before, so it's going to be a real good time for me to go down to Australia. But in terms of North American conventions, nothing so far. There's a couple of people that are trying to get me into a couple of the big ones on the East Coast, but I forget which ones they are. I have a con agent who does a lot of that legwork for me, and she kind of she's the one that sort of makes all that happen. But yeah, if anything comes up, I will tweet. I will certainly tweet about it.
Do you remember what your Twitter is?
Yes, it's at Trevor Devall.
Okay, that's easy because so many people have like username Naruto865.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing is they always misspell my name. They always spell it like it's pronounced Duval, but it's not Duval, it's Devall, so it's Devall. And
for any of the con chairs possibly listening, or any of because we do actually have convention people that sometimes come to us for contacts, does your con chair, your con agent, do they have like a website or a company that maybe people can seek after?
They do. I'm going to have to look it up. Maybe I'll look at that up on the next break, so I'll try and get it to you.
Fantastic. If not, we'll include it with the post for everybody out there who wants it. But for the fans out there, are there any other projects that you want to promote or talk about?
Yeah, projects like upcoming shows, you mean?
Anything that you're working on, anything that's coming up that you're like, the fans should know about this,
well,
and not get in trouble for NDA.
Yes, exactly. Again, you've done this before. Certainly. Guardians of the Galaxy is a big one. I think the official air date is September the 26th, but on iTunes right now, there you can get sort of a special sneak preview of the shorts that they're airing through the month of August, which are like little origin stories that show the origins of all the characters. So there's that. That's a big deal. Dino Trucks, which is I said a DreamWorks project that's going to be on Netflix, I think in August. There's that. There's other stuff which I can't talk about.
Curse those NDA ninjas.
Curse those NDAs.
I always assume that there's just some guy all in black, like just with a sniper pointer at you the entire time, just waiting. Yeah,
that's exactly what. In fact, there's a guy right here from Marvel. He's got a gun to my head right now. I can't say it. Oh, no, sorry. No.
See, I didn't hurt him this time. It was somebody else, I swear. Well, awesome. Since we're nearing the end of this interview, we actually have a tradition here on 91.8 The Fan, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to participate.
Oh, hell, that sounds sketchy. Count me in.
We ask anyone, whether they're a voice actor or not, if they'd be willing to do a radio bump for us. Basically, say a line for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. We basically ask if you could say, hey, my name is, you put your name in there, I do this, and you can put whatever you want, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
All right, I can do that.
Then whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, this is Trevor Devall. I'm a voice actor. I make the funny voices, and you're listening to 91.8 The Fan.
That was perfect. You're amazing at this. You didn't make some breaks too, because every voice.
I know. You're listening to 981. The 2.
That was perfect. It was a better take. but for the listeners out there, before we say goodbye, do you have any words of wisdom, dating advice, predictions for the end of the world?
Wow. The 3 things I get asked most: words of advice, dating advice, and predictions for the end of the world. Wow. I just want to say that those of you who are fans of mine, thanks so much for listening and continue to watch the shows, because without you guys, there would be no shows. There would be no reason to do them. So I'm super appreciative of that. And I love meeting you guys at the cons, and I hope to meet more of you, both old fans and new, at upcoming conventions somewhere in the world.
Well, this was awesome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And for any of the listeners out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next week. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.